Frank, a lot of good things tonight, obviously, but Dwight, I think, had a stretch in the first half where he played 9 minutes and scoring points. It was like plus 10, and seemed like he was able to do little things. Is that kind of when you guys talk about a role for him, is this kind of what you're talking about?
Exactly. He didn't get the ball one time in a low post because that's not his role here on his team, and really impacted the game during that stretch and all throughout, quite frankly. You know, he's leading the charge for us with regard to physicality and rim protection. And, you know, when he's a lob threat going to the basket, he opens up a lot for everybody else. So, you know, he's been good all through the preseason, and, you know, tonight he was great and a big part of the win.
Frank, how did you come to the decision to make the change to the lineup going into the second half? And what was the discussion or conversation that led to that? And then what did you think of the impact you got?
Well, we were shooting 34% offensively, and, you know, Rudy is a problem, you know, for any offense going against their defense. If you have another center out there where it is rolling to the basket, he can kind of play center field and clock things up. So Anthony and I talked about it. He was all for it, and he wanted to do it. And then, you know, obviously, offensively, it felt like LeBron was being asked to do too much. So, you know, putting another small in there, and Alex Caruso, who we asked to stay ready and be available. He did a great job staying ready. So, you know, both shifts in the lineup gave us a little bit of a burst offensively, and we didn't lose anything defensively.
Was that a Rudy-specific adjustment, or is that something that you?
Well, you know, it's something that's going to be really good for us throughout the year. It's just something that we don't necessarily want to go to full time. You know, because, you know, obviously we want to keep Anthony fresh for the playoffs, but, you know, it's always in our back pocket, something we can go to against certain matchups, but especially against elite rim protectors like Rudy.
Hey, Frank, a really efficient night from LeBron. Does part of that with the spacing also give him more room in the lane, just if you're going with that 80 at the 5?
Yeah, I mean, he just was locked in and had a really good night in both halves, but in particular in the second half. When he's able to post and Rudy's being pulled away from the basket with Anthony, you know, things really open up, and then they have to bring help from the low side, and then three-point shooters open up. You saw Troy Daniels get going, and, you know, so space helps everybody. But he had a terrific night.
Frank, staying on LeBron, I mean, he was just in attack mode. If it was Ingles on him in the block, if it was O'Neal, did you see an adjustment in his approach to tonight versus Game 1?
No, I mean, I think he posted a lot in Game 1 too, but probably a little bit more now. You know, when we were playing with the space that we were playing with, recognizing the matchups that he had, and you know, probably a little bit more so tonight in Game 1.
Yeah, Franco, over here.
Got you.
How you doing, man? Troy Daniels played really well for you guys tonight. What did you like about what he did, and what made you go to him?
Well, he's earned a spot in the rotation with his ability to shoot the basketball. You know, he's arguably the best shooter on the team, and you know, he's the kind of player you want to put around LeBron James and Anthony Davis. You know, he works really hard on the defensive end, so he pulls his own weight on that side of the floor, and you know, when he's out there, you know, he not only brings gravity, but then when the help comes, he's able to punish defenses, and you know, he did both of those tonight.
Frank, what were you seeing over the course of this game, particularly in the third quarter, that was leading to you guys being so effective defensively?
Well, we did. There's some things that we worked on defensively in the last 2 days, both in the film session and you know, even in shoot around this morning. A couple of drills we did to really tighten up some of our paint coverages, and you know, without getting into the specifics of that, we were able to protect the rim, keep the rollers off the glass, and limit them. They only had 3 offensive rebounds the whole game, and we got a lot of steals within our coverages with paint pocket passes. So, you know, the 23 turnovers and you know, only 3 offensive rebounds is carryover from the work we put in the last few days, you know, on those defensive coverages.
Frank, how do you balance like sort of the short-term gain of you know, maybe going small or something like that with that long-term desire to keep Anthony fresh and healthy?
It's a tough balance, and you know, it's a balance in a lot of different ways too. You know, your instinct is to leave LeBron and Anthony in there as long as possible, but again, you know, you have to coach with the long haul in mind, and you know, trust the other players on the floor, and you know, it's just going to be one of those things. It's new to this whole roster is new, and system is new to all of us. So, you know, we'll take it game by game in terms of figuring out how much we want to go to AD at the 5, and just be balanced. Well, yeah, instinctually you want to go. You want to go to a full time because it can be so lethal. But I don't know if that's the smartest approach with Anthony at the 5, banging against centers night in and night out. So it's going to be an opportunistic thing for us.
All right, Coach over here. Scoring is kind of where fans tend to look, but you had two players who didn't really score to the final minutes, KCP and Dwight. Can you share what you saw, how they were contributing, how they were helping the team tonight?
Well, defensively, first and foremost, KCP's been one of our best defenders since training camp started. He's got great recovery speed and containment speed, and gets his hands on a lot of balls. So, I mean, the numbers that we're looking at, with 41% tonight and only 86 points for the Jazz, he impacts that end of the floor at a high level. And I would say the same thing for Dwight. His rim protection, his physicality, with rollers and anybody coming into the paint, he just patrols the paint for us. And, he and JaVale have both done a great job defensively for us. They'll get their nights where they're going offensively. Hasn't quite happened yet, but, their primary role is to contribute on the defensive end.